Welcome back, Vikings fans, to another episode of Vikings Latest. I'm your host, Cole Smith, and today we're going to go over cornerback Charles Demings, what he can bring to the Vikings as a rookie. I grinded the film of one of his games in college last season. Stick around for that. We have a schedule update. Vikings Week 18 opponent has been revealed, and then we also have some rumors about who their opening game will be against. And then we are also going to talk about Kyler Murray. Could he be the best quarterback in the NFC North? We will see. But first, some more updates on the GM search as that has been leading the headlines here recently. Kevin Seifert of ESPN went over everything that we know about the search, kind of went over a lot of the stuff that we've talked about before. Could the Vikings have an operation where Rob Brzezinski, interim GM, heads a dynamic power structure where he is working basically over the general manager? Then the manager works with Kevin O'Connell and everybody else. He talked about how Kwesi appeared absent in leadership and Kwesi Dofamensa before he was fired back in January. How Kwesi appeared absent in leadership and wasn't to be found as often as the coaching staff wanted or believed that he would be found. The Vikings organization outside of Kwesi was pretty traditional in like their belief system, just everything, and that's how a lot of these football organizations are. Kwesi just came from such a outside the box background that did not mesh very well. Kevin Seifert, he talked about how Brian Flores, his holdup coming back in the offseason was because of uh, his skepticism of the front office's vision moving forward. So that's kind of why Flores kind of flirted with leaving. And anyway, so that's what the Vikings are really looking for is somebody who can be a leader. This isn't exactly news if you've been following along with the general manager search here. But somebody who can work not only with the coaching staff but communicate well with the coaching staff, with the scouting personnel, and everybody like that. That's why all these other candidates outside Rob Brzezinski for the permanent GM job have a scouting background in some aspect and have worked their way up through the traditional sense. So now there have been a lot of reports about, like I said, that dynamic power structure. Kevin Seifert, he's kind of made it sound like he doesn't think that's actually what's going to happen. He said that Mark Wilf, Vikings team president and co-owner, back in March said, quote, "I think we like the way we've done it as far as structure, and the GM will report to ownership," and that he reiterated collaboration and, quote, "right person who's a leader of the organization who can communicate and deliver." It sounds like Kwesi really struggled at that. There were even quotes in the article about how Kwesi kind of admitted that he wasn't very good at that back in 2024, and obviously it never improved enough to where the Vikings were completely comfortable with him in that role, and obviously he wasn't either. So Vikings are looking for somebody more as a leader, but also has the scouting props, the background to where not only they know what they're looking for, but like the coaches, the personnel staff, the scouting department, all of them trust that the general manager knows what he is doing as well, as opposed to just kind of locking himself in an office, grinding the tape, and really trying to be like, okay, I really need to figure out what I'm doing here. So, kind of just more reiterating what we've already believed. The Vikings, like I said, they have 9 more external candidates for the GM job now, as far as that goes, on top of Rob Brzezinski, who has been acting as GM since the end of January. Kevin O'Connell, though, he will still have a lot of power. Seifert reiterated that whoever is the general manager is going to have to really collaborate and won't be infringing upon KOC and the rest of the coaching staff's power on personnel. That includes Brian Flores, even wide receivers coach Keenan McCardell, among others. So Kevin O'Connell, last week when he spoke about what he wants, I think it was last week. The quote was in the article. he said that when asked what his role will be in the general manager search, that he quote want he I want ultimately what's best for the organization under the direction of leadership. So there's that leadership thing again. O'Connell has been part of Zoom meetings so far, and it sounds like he'll probably be some part of the in-person interviews for the next round of interviews after we get through this initial cycle, get to the finalists. He'll be part of that. Andrew Miller, Chief COO, Chief Operating Officer for the Vikings, he's been a part of these conversations as well. So that's what we know. Kevin Seifert just kind of reiterating what we've already known, and then trying to kind of cipher through some of the stuff that we've been hearing from analysts and other people speculating among the league insiders that have like an idea of things. Sounds like the Vikings might be going to more traditional general managers for the spot, though. I don't know what that means for Rob Brzezinski if they actually go this way with Seifert. I still think Brzezinski's staying in some capacity. I don't know if he's going to be the permanent GM, but this is just what this is what the update is right now. Sometimes we're hearing that Brzezinski's getting elevated, and it's going to be somebody below him. This kind of pours cold water on that. What's the truth? What's not? I guess we'll see. The Vikings kept everything under wraps through the draft to where we didn't see the Caleb Banks pick coming at all. Maybe they're just keeping everybody like in the dark as far as the general manager search goes. So on to the next one. A little bit more of a fun exercise. ESPN and their Get Up show. They say a lot of crazy things, and Bart Scott said something extremely crazy. He said that the Vikings and Kyler Murray could surprise everybody in the NFC North. So the Vikings could be the team that comes out of the North victorious. That would include leapfrogging the Bears and the Packers. And he said that the addition of Kyler Murray could go a long ways with that. That Kyler with Kevin O'Connell could completely revitalize his career and make the Vikings a problem. I think that a lot of people are pretty much assuming that the defense is going to be great again. And it's just like, well, can the offense be good again? And there was a lot of pushback. If you looked at the comments on Twitter underneath the video, a lot of people were pushing back on this. But it's not insanely far-fetched to say, okay, maybe it's a little far-fetched to say that he could be the best quarterback, but can Kyler Murray be effective? I don't think that's very far-fetched. We're only 2 years removed from the Vikings having Sam Darnold, and a lot of people raising their eyebrows at the idea of Darnold starting. When he was brought in, it was the expectation that he would be a bridge quarterback at best. And then after J.J. McCarthy was drafted, it was like, okay, well, how long until Darnold plays bad enough to where he gets replaced by JJ? Obviously, JJ tore his meniscus. Darnold actually played really, really well, and the rest is history. But I mean, that was Darnold. Darnold had never had NFL success before 2024. Kyler has been a two-time Pro Bowler, so he's already shown he can do it before. Now he's done it in a totally different system than what we've seen Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings run since 2022. But I keep coming back to it. Assistant head coach Frank Smith. He was an offensive coordinator with the Dolphins. Not that Tua is the same quarterback as Kyler, but a little bit smaller quarterback. Kind of completely redid the offense to fit Tua's play style. I think that we're going to see an offense that's full of pistol looks, full of shotgun looks with Kyler, as opposed to the under center heavy offenses that we've seen Kevin O'Connell run through his first 4 seasons as Vikings head coach. So I don't think it's insane to think that Kyler can have a good season. And if Kyler has a good season and the defense plays anything like it did the second half of the 2025 season, I think the Vikings could indeed contend for the NFC North title. And even if they don't win the North, if they could be like second in the division, they could still be, really fighting for a playoff spot, maybe even third in the division. But let's try one of the damn thing. Let's try doing that. Also, one other thing, one underrated aspect of this is the strength of schedule. benefits the Vikings. The Bears actually have the hardest strength of schedule in the whole entire NFL. 550 winning percentage among their opponents. Packers are tied for third with 538 winning percentage among their opponents. Vikings are 11th, 519, so a little bit better. And then the Lions, they're actually 27th. They really benefited from their fourth place schedule. Vikings could have had that schedule if they didn't have that 5-game win streak to end the season last year. But all things considered, that makes things hard on the Bears. I'm going to keep saying this. I think the Bears are in for a regression. I don't know if that necessarily means the Vikings benefit specifically, because that probably helps the Lions and the Packers as well. But I do think that the Vikings can bounce back some. I don't think the Bears are going to repeat their success. How the rest of the North shakes out, that's to be determined. But I do think there is reason for optimism. Remember, this team did almost win the NFC North in 2024. They did sweep the Lions last year, and they almost swept the damn Bears. So we'll see. Maybe just a few more changes of luck down the stretch or throughout the season can change the Vikings' fortunes, be playing some meaningful football once December rolls around. All right, so speaking of the schedule, we have a couple updates. We got a late night update from Ben Gessling of the Star Tribune that the Vikings have released. Well, the NFL has pretty much released the Vikings Week 18 opponent. Vikings are going to be finishing the season at home against the Bears. That time is to be determined. We know how the late season games go, that depending on how good the teams are, they play probably the 3:30 slot, 3:25 slot, or that NBC Sunday Night Football slot. The Vikings haven't played the Bears to finish the season since 2021. If you remember, that was Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman's last game with the Vikings. It was a very, very odd game. The Bears, it was their last game back with Matt Nagy. So it was just kind of like two coaching staffs, two organizations just like colliding in a slow motion collision, ending the season. Vikings ended up running away with the game in the end. If you remember Justin Jefferson, he could have set the Vikings single season receiving record, and he didn't get it. And Mike Zimmer basically said he doesn't care about that stuff at all, and then he got fired the next day. So interesting that the Vikings haven't played the Bears since then, which is weird because the NFC North teams, like, they always finish the season. Week 18 is always interdivision. And the Vikings played the Bears each season to end the season. 2016 and 2019, they played the final game of the year against the Bears. And then 2021, they did as well. And then haven't done it since. So obviously, most teams are going to be saying this about their Week 18 games, but this could determine a lot of playoff seeding, could determine the division, depending on how the Vikings and the Bears perform. Like I said, if Kyler plays well, the Vikings could be in the mix. I think the Bears are taking a step back, so maybe it's the Vikings playing for something, the Bears aren't playing for something, or maybe I'm way too optimistic as usual, and the Bears are about to send the Vikings home for the offseason, but that's what we've got right now. They are going to release the rest of the schedule today, so tomorrow's episode, tune in and I'll go through the entire schedule. But rumor has it, I'm pretty sure, I feel good enough to share this one, the Vikings should be starting the season against the Packers at Lambeau Field. Pretty sure that's going to be a 3:25 kickoff. So that one's not set in stone as of the time of this recording, which is about 3:50 in the morning on Thursday. But 3:25 to start the season against the Packers. We got that November 22nd schedule day with the 49ers in Mexico City. That one's confirmed as well. So 49ers game's confirmed. Bears one's confirmed. I feel pretty good about the Packers one starting the season. Kind of nice to get Lambeau early on. I don't know about the first game of the season, but hey, might as well see how good we are immediately, right? So that's what we got for now. Tune in tomorrow. We should have the other 15 games confirmed, and we'll go over the entire schedule in tomorrow's episode. So to finish it off today, I finally dug into Vikings rookie cornerback Charles Demings. His tape, he was a fifth round pick out of Stephen F. Austin. So his tape's kind of funny because he shows off his size. PFF had him sit like 6'1", about 190, 195 pounds. I should have looked at his NFL draft scouting combine numbers, but you can see the length on tape. Like he's got long arms. He just has that long, lean build. And against a team like who he was playing, Houston Huskies, Houston Institute Huskies. I should have written that team down, but yeah, it looked like they were playing at a high school field. Stands weren't very full, and the opposition honestly was just not very good at all. I think it was Houston Christian, and yeah, so he pretty much shut down every receiver, almost every route, except for like three plays where I think he just got bored. It just kind of lost his concentration. He got beat on a go route on one point where he just seemed flat footed and he kind of recovered, but like it was just a good pass, good catch. He just seemed like he was asleep because up until that point, he was just blanketing every receiver. There was another play near the end of the half where he got kind of beat for a 10, 15-yard gain. That wasn't a huge deal because they were up 29-3 at that point. Then, like the very next play or two, he kind of just lost his mind and had a horrible PI that put the Houston Christian in position to go for the end zone on one of the final plays of the half because he like tackled the receiver out of bounds. It was a pretty bad look. And so then the very last play of the half for the defense, Houston went for the end zone, and Demings ended up with the interception. It was one of four interceptions he had on the season. Oh, I did write it down. It was Houston Christian. Great notes, Cole. But just how they used him, he was kind of pressed up on receivers a lot. He was even checking with the side judge to make sure he wasn't offsides lining up. So he was like really pressing him. There was a 3rd and 25 where they just were Stephen F. Austin. They pushed him back as a safety. Probably saw him better in that regard as opposed to just trying to lock somebody down when there's so much yardage to make up. So cool to see that. It was his second worst graded game of the year. He had a 55.6 grade, but overall, the rest of the season he performed pretty well. This is going to be the biggest thing, though. Like I said, Houston Christian, who I apparently cannot remember their name at all, not a very good school. They're not Alabama, in case you didn't know. And so the jump in competition is going to be interesting to see from Demings. Like I said, he does have the size. It does stand out, especially when he's playing receivers from Houston Christian. But I mean, he just has that look. You can just see him. He just kind of has that look of an NFL cornerback. Looks like he has reaction skills. Kind of has the press. He kind of played a lot of different techniques in this game. Can it translate into the NFL? Can Brian Flores get something out of it? Time will tell. If he can absorb the playbook really fast, he'll play right away. If he doesn't absorb it fast, he'll be like most rookies and not play right away. But he did play 5 years at Stephen F. Austin. Hopefully that sort of experience helps him. He talked with reporters right after getting drafted about how he played so many different coverages in college. So it sounds like he's like a very cerebral guy. He talked last week after minicamp about even though he's a rookie, he wants to be a leader on the team. He talked about how most rookies come in and they're shy. He's like, I don't want to be that guy. He's like, I'm just very outgoing personality. He is a great personality. I'm going to keep saying this. If you don't know, he's listed as Charles Demings. He did say he prefers going by Chuck. If you listen to Chuck Demings talk, he has star potential. Like if his play can be even halfway as good as his personality, the Vikings got a steal in the 5th round here. So I like what I saw from Chuck Demings in this game against Houston Christian. A few times where he just kind of lost his mind. I think just kind of lost concentration, but for the most part, very intriguing. I can see why Brian Flores liked this pick. get some youth on the outside, and hopefully he can find some playing time because last year only Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers played over 200 defensive snaps at cornerback for the Vikings, which is insane. Need to get some other guys who can get in there as well and give some provide some quality reps. So that's all I got for today. Tune in tomorrow, guys, for we'll look at the entire Viking schedule, what the primetime games are, where the division games are. We're going to even have a record prediction because that's what we always do. And we'll see if the Vikings got screwed by the schedule makers or if it is going to be a lot better than last year. Maybe get off to a hot start and kind of ride that momentum into the late season. Hopefully get good seeding for the playoffs. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the Vikings Latest channel. My name is Cole Smith. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in once again. Skol Vikings.